was watching what I was saying.
Okay, so you guys may be seeing a face you've never seen before sitting at this table. This is Stephanie. I don't know her official title. She will be headlining the meeting today.
Yes. So for the new ones, I'm Stephanie Edgett. I'm the Assistant Conference Coordinator. Everything that goes on the clipboard, I put in there. So I work with all student groups, departments, external clients, and I meet with them or get their setup details and put it into the event software we use, which is called EMS. EMS then creates the setup worksheet that then goes out to you all through the clipboard. There's a reason we put that stuff in there, and that's kind of what I'm here to talk to you all about, because some of it's getting left out, some of it's not being added, or things are being added that we've already told the groups that they can't have. So there's a level of frustration that is growing. I'm not quite sure what you guys do at these meetings. There's still music. I didn't realize there was music, so or else I would have taken those out.
Leave it on. I like it.
Please do not. And I got this call this morning from our grounds crew. The grounds people bring over the plants that go in the rooms for the different events. Not all of them use plants, but the ferns, the flowers. On some, for instance, Fridays or Saturdays, they'll bring the plants over. We'll put them back in stage closet. You guys are then, if you see them, they're for that event. Pull them out, put them in the room so that the group has them. The group can move them as needed, but there was one event a few months ago where the flowers were in the stage closet and they never got moved into Bluebonnet. They never got used for the event. So does UC Operations pay for that, or does grounds just eat that? So those plants are there for a reason. Move them in. When you're clearing,
sorry, I didn't hear you, Brian Hasty.
I don't remember what event it was for.
Just to clarify that response before the question, Jeopardy style, which event was that?
I feel like it was maybe, I can see the person and I cannot remember her name.
I want to say it was the event that.
It was back
it
in
was one of the-
January or
Oh, it was back in January?
February, I feel like.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was the one that was like maybe 2 weeks ago.
No.
That we were there in the morning for, and I know that they were missing plants, but we just never got around to being able to set them up because we were doing other things that day.
Yeah. No, these were never brought out. They were back in stage closet. So it was back in January or February.
Okay.
Is that going to sound good on the recording?
That's going to sound awful.
There. Also, when you're taking them out of the room and putting them back in stage closet, if it's a Friday or Saturday, grounds is not going to come until Monday to pick them up. Just make sure he's asking us not to put stack the flowers on top of each other or put anything on the flower pots. It's killing those flowers. They have to buy new flowers. Again, does UC Operations pay for that to replace those because we're damaging them, or does grounds eat them? So just kind of be aware to treat plants with respect. They are alive. They need to stay alive. Do not wear shorts to work unless you're doing an outside event. This is from Bear. If you're doing an outside event, obviously in the summer we allow it, but it will be written specifically into when to work. So no shorts to work, no ball caps, and no open-toed shoes. That's just basic safety. Yeah.
Regarding the caps thing,
I'm sorry, I did not hear you.
some of our crew members have to wear a cap because it's religious for them.
No, that's ball caps. So
You
no
mean the regular caps?
Yeah, no
Okay.
baseball caps. Yeah. Religious
Several-
reasons I'm not going to fight you on.
Several crew members are wearing hats, just regular baseball hat, just
Yeah.
a regular hat.
Okay.
And that's not a religious hat. That kind of hat. That
Yeah.
is not an okay kind of hat to be wearing while you're on the clock.
A baseball hat, a beanie. Well, in the winter, if you're bald, you have other issues. But
If we come in and you are wearing a hat or violating one of these 3 dress codes, we will send you home off the clock. You will change. You will come back and you will continue working.
so,
And if you don't, you will be written up for a no-call, no-show.
yeah, but no, yeah, religious reasons, that's perfectly fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's wearing a ball cap. Do not no-call, no-show when you have accepted an off-site shift. That's something that kind of popped up this morning. If you have accepted it, if you're not feeling well the night before, text someone, whether it's Rhett or Wolf, so that we know when you come, that you're not going to come in, especially 7:30 in the morning. We don't get there till 8. The client calls us at 8:30 saying, where are these tables? We were supposed to be here by 8 o'clock or something like that. We need to have a heads up so that we can either work with you to find somebody to take that shift, or that we know we have to come in and either cover it and get it done, because again, that's just kind of dropping the ball and we don't want to do that.
I know you guys have heard me say this before. I hate waking up to text messages from work. It's my least favorite thing in the whole wide world. If you're going to be sick or you're not going to make a shift, text me at 1 in the morning, email me, leave some form of communication letting me know that you won't be there. And this information needs to go down to building crew as well. This is not just for you guys, this is for everybody that works in this building. So trickle this information down. You have to pass the info along. I believe I made 3 phone calls this morning. Humeda, you were the recipient of one of them, as I tried to find somebody to come in and cover a 7:30 offsite shift that no call, no show.
No. So it's a responsibility that if you take it, you take that on, and then it's your responsibility to find somebody to take that, because this is something that has to happen or we have to know about it. Just say no. This is the main purpose why I have come to talk to you all. This is going to be, well, technicians too. I mean, you guys are in the room, especially if you're dedicated to that space, but supervisors, we need to start saying no to same-day requests. If it's a 6-foot table, if it's a stanchion, a couple of stanchions, an easel, I don't care. If it's presenters packages, simulcast package, if it's
Changing the lights.
changing lights, changing my room completely around, just say no. If we're here, send them to us. Send them down to Bear and I. There's a number of factors that go into why you need to say no. Some you may know just because of it affects your work, it affects what you're doing in the building elsewhere, it takes you away from something that you're doing. But some of the other things that affect how it affects me and Bear and I, the room setup is confirmed by noon the day before. If the group has not given me setup details by noon the day before, that's their problem. I've given them sufficient time. I email a month out, sometimes 2 weeks out, to get information from these groups. And I say in the emails, I need information by this date. If I do not, we will not be able to support your event the day of. You come in, you get the room, that's all they're getting. So if they have given me details and they're in clipboard, that's what we stick with. If they ask for anything, again, 6-foot table, fine. If they're asking for the room to go from a banquet to theater because they've changed their mind, no. They've given me the setup, they did not make the right changes in the right time. It does not happen. This kind of leads into teaches bad behavior. Oh.
Good question.
Yeah.
Let's say it's, okay, on a weekday, let's say the director of the leadership center, for example, asks us to do it 30 minutes, 2 hours before the event, whatever. And there's a vice president in the room. What do we do?
Direct them to us.
Yeah.
Okay, what if it's the weekend on Saturday afternoon?
If it's the weekend, obviously that's a little bit harder.
You have to make a judgment.
Yes, and that's, building supervisor is busy. So if you're setting rooms somewhere else, if you are managing a situation somewhere else, you say, I've got to take care of this, my priority is this. I understand that this is what you need right now, but I cannot get pulled away. This is why you need to talk to Stephanie before your event. This is why you need to give us the details so that you're not waiting on supervisor's time. Your priority is whatever you're doing before they call you. If they say I need a 6-foot or an easel, you say, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can. If that's not within 5 minutes, I'm okay with that, because you know what? The next time they have an event in this building and they need a 6-foot or an easel for catering or whatever, they're going to tell me. They're going to remember, hey, last time I didn't get that in on time and I didn't get it and then I had to wait 30 minutes. Put that in the building report. You know, say I got a call for this, I couldn't deliver it right at the time that they needed it, I brought it 15, 20 minutes later, they were upset. That's fine, put it in the building report. You know, and then I can reach back out to them and say, I read this in the building report, I understand that we were a little bit late getting it to you, that's why it's important for you to give me your full setup details. If you don't,
That's for text.
There's one for building supers and stuff on the red store.
If you don't get it to us, you will have to wait. You are not guaranteed to get what you want immediately in this building, same day requests. That's just same day. You know, obviously if it's on the clipboard, so there are exceptions. If it's on the clipboard, say black arrows, easels, tables that are not put in the room from the night setup the night before, then yes, we need to make sure that we're giving that to them with no late fee cost. So that's us dropping the ball and not setting the room correctly the night before. If it's them asking for something new, then you can set that at your discretion.
And it doesn't matter how important the client is. I mean, if it's a random student organization or if it's the president's office, if they're asking for new stuff, it's their fault for not telling us ahead of time.
The president's office is usually pretty good about it just because they work with Bear and he knows, you know, but yeah, I mean, I agree. It's, if the provost is there, you'd tell her, I mean, if you guys want to shift the room around, I can throw, if you want to go from theater to banquet, I can throw banquet tables in here and your volunteer students can set the room. But if you're by yourself on the weekend, which sometimes is how it is before the crew comes in, you can't go from a theater for 200 to a banquet for 200. That's not your job. That's stuff that they should have gotten to us. So, I mean, you can help them at your discretion. Affects inventory for other events. So an example of this was something over the weekend. We had a group ask for lectures package. They then changed to 3 presenters packages. This took out inventory for a presenters package that had been requested in Rosebud. We didn't have a laptop for it. They get laptop first priority, which in reality they should have had the laptop there anyway. It was not set the night before. But that event gets priority. They've asked for it, they get it. If they ask for it to go from a lectures package to a presenters package, you can say no, we don't have the inventory. That's always an easy answer too. If they're giving you crap and they're not taking no for a reason, just say we don't have the inventory. Just say, I'm sorry, we don't have the inventory. You know, they're being used elsewhere in the building. We don't have anything we can give you. That's why you have to ask for it from Stephanie. And you can always say, if you're doing this event in the future, if this happens every week, please go talk to Stephanie as soon as possible down in the basement. And she'll make sure that you have these things in there and they're a priority and they will be set in your room. But, you know, I know that doesn't always happen. It makes Bear and I look bad because then the clients come to us and email us. They don't email you guys. They don't email Wolf or Rhett because we're the face of the operation. We're the thing that people see. We're who they sit down with. We're who they say, we want this set up, we want these things in the room, we need this, this, and this. And then when we get there and half of it's not ready or set up, who do they come to yell at? Yeah. It's not fun, especially if it's, you know, there's a few groups that they're not fun to deal with. And I know that you guys don't have fun dealing with them either when they're angry in the moment. But it makes us look like we're not doing our jobs.
And to jump in here, especially on the teaching bad behavior from clients or reinforcing clients' bad behavior, there are many groups here that have learned that they can push you guys around and that you'll give them whatever they ask for at the time of the event within reason. And so they go bare minimum with Stephanie and Bear because that's all they're paying for. And then they tell you guys what they actually want and they don't end up paying for it.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to put that in the building report that you added a presenter's package so we can charge them for that because there is a $50 late fee associated with late requests. So we need to know that stuff. Some items require special permission to obtain. So again, a backdrop was set up this weekend. The UTA backdrop is special permission through the president's office. We don't own it. The president's office owns it. So if it's being used for them, and they get first priority, that's it. If they don't allow a group to use it because it's not an event that they want that branded item at, the group doesn't get to use it. But there's no same day setup of a UTA backdrop ever. And if somebody asks for it, just tell them that they have to get special permission through another office on campus that we just house it, we don't own it. And that second, they have to reserve it through us in case somebody else is using it. Because we only have the one. I mean, we've got 2 panels, but we only have one that we set up. We don't set them up individually in 2 different areas. So there are certain things that if people ask for it, it's just a solid no, we can't do this. No to any and all glitter. There was one event over the weekend that a group was using glitter and the supervisor, I don't remember who it is, I'm not going to use names, but said that glitter was being used and they just told the group to be careful with it. Take it, throw it away, and don't throw it away in their room. They're just gonna take it out of the trash. Say, sorry, I had to take this, or put it away, don't use it. No confetti or glitter, because then it gets on the floors, it gets on the tables. We charge a cleanup fee for that. So the group that has now thought it was okay to use it is getting almost a 2-hour cleanup fee at $25 an hour, excuse me. So just no to glitter in all facets. Yes?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
They had the glitter stored in a glass, so I told them to be careful with the glitter so that it doesn't fall on the carpet.
But what does glitter do? You put glue on paper, and then you take that glitter out of the glass and you sprinkle it, and then you go like
Yeah.
this,
So I told
shaking
them-
it in the trash, and glitter flies everywhere.
So I told them if the glitter falls on the carpet, you will be
No
charged
glitter.
for that.
There's no glitter.
No, but
Tell them
from-
to put the
yeah.
lid back in it, either throw it away or take it away from them, or they put it in their bag, and if you come back by and catch it again, you're asking them to leave the room.
How many of you guys have flown in the last 5 years? Flown anywhere? Are you allowed to take shampoo, water, any of that crap on a plane now?
3 ounces.
Yeah, itty bitty little thing. Yeah. And if you don't, if you try to take it on, or if you try to take an open can soda, like drink it or throw it away. We're kind of laying down the same law here. We may have allowed it in the past, I don't know, but
No, never.
absolutely zero tolerance.
Yeah.
If you see glitter, you have to tell the client, if I see it again, I'm throwing it away.
You give them a chance to put it away themselves and not use it. They can leave the building. They cannot use confetti or they cannot use confetti to decorate a table. They can't use any of that stuff, any kind of anything, because
No craft herpes.
so no glitter of any kind in the building. If you see it, you either throw it away or make them put it away. And if you see them using it again, you ask them to leave.
They also had ribbons like stuck on the wall.
There's
I
nothing
remember-
stuck to the walls ever in our building. You pull it down
Yeah,
in
I
their
told them
front
to
of their
remove it.
face, or you make them pull it down. Yes.
them
Nothing,
to remove
if people are putting signs up, I saw one where people were putting signs up and somebody got black arrows and put them on the black arrows. That's very nice. Whoever did that, very nice. I would have pulled them down and thrown them away and not even told the group that I did it.
And tore them in front of their faces.
You
It's
can,
like,
you can,
can't do this.
you can tell them, you can say, I'm taking your flyers down, here they are. If you want black arrows, I can give you a couple of those. Again, inventory though, guys. If we've got black arrows in rooms, we cannot give them black arrows. If all of our inventory is out because it's being used later in the day or during that time, you can't give them black arrows. If you have some available, you can, but check your inventory. But you don't have to put them on the black stands and do that. Just throw them away. Oh, hold on, Simon.
It was Maggie's event, that's why I put it on the black.
Oh, okay. Oh, just in general. That's just good knowledge for general. Was Maggie's event.
In addition to no glitter and no confetti, no candles or food
Right.
warmers, unless it's catering.
Right. Correct. There was
Did
another
you
question.
As for taping stuff to the wall and the glitter and everything like that, is it written in the user agreement and rules? Okay.
Yeah, the students, when they sign off on their confirmation packet, because they come and get a confirmation packet, that's another thing. They say they've got Sabine the whole semester, but 2 days they don't have it, and they ask to have it open. You can say, where's your confirmation packet? I want to see it, because if they don't have it, we don't give it to them. And I forgot where I was going with that. What was the question again?
The question was.
Oh, yes, but on the confirmation packet that they sign, there's a user agreement that is stapled with their packet that says no confetti or glitter of any kind, and nothing taped to the walls at all. And I realize there have been some exceptions where we give gaff tape to some groups, but it's gaff tape, and we charge them for that gaff tape. And there are groups that we've worked with for many years to do that, and it's not just like, hey, we're putting this up on the wall, can we have gaff tape? It's like, no, like we know they use it up and put things. Simon has a question.
Addition to taping walls, nothing on the floor or on the ceiling.
Yeah, completely. I mean, well, you got to look like the marketing group that was here last week. They had the balloons. But those weren't taped. Those were magnets. So very smart. I mean, I was like, sure. I mean, if you want to put magnets up there, but then they didn't take it down, so they got a cleanup fee because we cleaned up all of their balloons.
They messed up the ceiling tiles.
Oh, well, there you go. So, I mean, there's things that I've never seen. If you want to put a magnet up there, hang a balloon from it, as long as they're not damaging, but of course they did, so. But nothing taped, no confetti, no glitter. Glitter is off limits.
And I don't care if they say they're special and that they won't spill it. They're not special. They will spill it.
Glitter goes everywhere. Glitter is like sand. You know when you go to the beach and you think you've showered off well enough, and then you get in the car, and then like 2 days later you're still finding it in your car and in your clothes, no matter how many times you've washed them? That's glitter, only much finer and much less appropriate on your body when you're at work. So I think that's everything.
On that slide.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Anything you want to clarify or? No?
Okay.
Okay.
That means you all understand this and that you're going to communicate this to the building crew, and that if something happens, we can sit here and say, well, we had a meeting about it and we told you about it and you're responsible for it, not us.
But I mean, again, you guys are, I'm the face, Bear and I are the face, you guys are making it happen. We just don't want the client to be mad at us, because then we take it out on you in a nice way, as possible as we can. But you don't, trust me, I am the nicest one in the office at this point. I mean, I might be a little meaner than Rhett. I think Rhett might be the nicest person in the office, but you certainly don't want to deal with Bear, or Wolf. But I've got a couple of things. These are kind of just follow-up issues, things that are ongoing issues. One, going back to setting a room based on inventory, we got a couple of emails, one from the CAS event, which is Center for African American Studies. We were going to charge her a ton of late fees, a ton, because there was in the building report, there was missing this and had to add this, had to do this, yada, yada, yada. When we got an email back from her saying this, she said that the computer was set up in the foyer for use but did not have any login information. That's not on us. People miss that all the time. The wireless mic that they requested and was in an inventory, it was in inventory because I'd added it that day, was not set up or provided. The projector in Rosebud was not on, and I did not have access to turn it on, even though the presenter's package had been requested. So when we say we're going to charge someone a late fee because they've requested these things, and then they tell us, well, no, they just weren't set up in the room, again, it makes us look bad. We get frustrated. The client's frustrated because, one, their event's starting late. Two, they have to ask for something that they've already requested and they're expecting to come into and find right away. So we just need to be on top of that. And then again, the marketing group, granted, they were difficult. Yes?
Well, with stuff like the cost event, things like having access to the projector to turn it on, did they see if the remote was backstage? Because usually if there's not a technician there, the remote is with the back there. Like login information is printed on the computers.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had
Yeah.
clients that have said, "Oh, we don't have this," and it's like, no, it was just backstage and you didn't look
Yes.
for it. So
One
I
of the
don't wanna
things we're
throw
going to
them
talk
under the
about
bus,
is
but-
making sure all of that stuff is turned on when you let a group into the room. That way they don't have to go hunting for it because they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know our equipment. I mean, Cass has been in the building a lot. They use Rosebud a lot, but we have to anticipate that they know nothing about our building and equipment. And so giving them baby steps and instructions is going to be, or doing it for them is just our job.
From what I remember Saturday, I do recall seeing the projector remote backstage, but it was not in a location that was easy to find. It was like on top of the black stage box,
Okay.
like
So-
below the table. So
Yeah, so that's, and it's not just that. I mean, it's not just, I'm not picking on just technicians because here for the marketing group, they had an event in Carlisle and the Rio Grande. In Academy, they'd requested and was on the inventory to have 8 cocktail rounds. There was only 6. Then the building supervisor had to bring them 2. There was a screen and projector set up in Academy. They did not request one in there. It wasn't in the inventory. There was one in the Rio Grande, but it was a simulcast. No, it was a presenter's package. So that one was set up, but there was a random one set up in Academy.
Something that hadn't been torn
I
down,
think,
most likely.
yeah, that was probably something that was not taken down from the previous day,
Right.
and that's because things don't get checked out from Super Tech. So when the daytime tech shows up to break down all of the rooms, they don't know which rooms have tech in them.
We'll be talking about that.
I mean, I
It
understand
should just be a
that.
general habit to get in the process of just checking every
Yeah,
room anyway,
you
regardless
just
of the
check
checkout
every
sheet.
room.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that, but
how many weeks in a row now have I talked to building supervisors about checking rooms when you come in and before you leave? Anybody?
Yeah.
Like more than one? Yeah.
yeah, all you got to do is walk in a room, check the inventory for that room, and leave, depending on what you see on clipboard. But
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I don't understand how I don't follow the new check-in, check-out process. But yeah, I think the building supervisor, I don't know if it was Benji who had opened, but yeah. And then they'd also asked for table number holders, the table stands. They had to go off and find them. They found them in the kitchen, and that they said that the staff did not seem to know what they were asking for. They might not have been conveying the information properly. There are a few things that I know just never get put in a room. When I put it in inventory, I know it's not going to get put in there. One of those is table stands, black arrows, and easels. Those are things that when clients tell me that they want those in the rooms, I forewarn them. I just say, this is just something our crew forgets. They never put these in the room. You're going to have to ask when you get there. If they're in there, it'll be great. If they're not, ask for them. I have to say that to clients. So that's why it's important to check the inventory list, because just because it's not on the drawing, so for instance, you're looking at a drawing for Bluebonnet. Sometimes I put presenter's package information on there. I don't put wireless lab on there usually. I don't put table stands. I don't do black arrows. I'm not giving a full inventory list on the drawing. It is everyone's responsibility to look at the drawing for room setup, clipboard for inventory, because that could be different. There could be things like black arrows for directional purposes for the group that are in the inventory, that once I do the drawing, there's just no room. It's going to look too crowded. You're not even going to see it on the drawing. So that's why it's important to continue to look at that. So these are just some things that came in over the weekend. And then from that, just an example from the building report about the backdrop that Cass asked for on Saturday. This is just kind of, we need you to expand upon the information you're putting in there. It says group in Rosebud requested 8 stanchions UTA backdrop. And that's it. I know we gave it to him after we talked to the supervisor who had done it, but it's not in here. We didn't know where they set it up, whether or not.
Yeah, one group in Rosebud.
Yeah.
Let's say there were 4 groups in Rosebud in one day, and it says group in Rosebud. Which one did it go to?
But did it go to the foyer? Did it go into Rosebud? Where was it set up? And then there was one.
And it also just says that they requested it. Did you provide it?
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly. So just because they asked for it doesn't mean you gave it to them. So you have to tell us that you provided it, set it up. Where did you set it up? There was also one, it scared me for a half second because I was like, there are candles in our building. It was for the Nepalese Student Association for their candlelight vigil. The tech or the person who was working it was saying that it was very difficult to maneuver because there were candles all over the room or all over the place. And I'm like, why are there what room? Who did this? Why are there candles in my building? And then I realized, okay, I think I remember there was a candlelight vigil last night. This is a technician, he was doing an offsite, that's what this event was for. I literally almost had a heart attack. So that is important. That is a reason why you give that information in the building report. Because I don't know what's going on, you do. I just booked the space, you guys see it firsthand. So that's what we need. You guys are doing great. You guys do a great job. I don't want you to think I'm coming in here and complaining because you guys support everything I do and I need you. So you guys do a great job and you guys are doing an excellent job of writing in the building report. There's just little things. Now we're being nitpicky. We have to get down to the nitpicky things to make sure that we're getting all of the information we need. But this is great information and you guys are writing in it and that's what we need. So thank you for that.
Are you finished?
There's a few things after this slide, but I
okay.
think most of the, the check inventory on clipboard, we've kind of gone over that, but just check inventory on clipboard.
All right, checkout sheets. Pretty good job filling them out. I'm happy they're being filled out now, especially since we had an instance where they just weren't filled out, and I had a nice chat with my technicians about it, to put it very, very, very lightly. I have written up a couple of example sheets for you guys, just because, again, now I'm going to nitpick. At least they're being filled out. This particular sheet
that I made, every single one of these, with the exception of the very last entry, is one that I actually took off of the current checkout sheets, and this is for everybody in here. The only two that are how I want them are the ones in green. Everything else, it's either lazy or just missing something. So I'm going to pass that one around. And then for the SuperTech sheet, for some reason, and I did it on this one too, like, I'll pass this around, but laptop 1, you'll see that it's checked out and then never checked in, but somebody else checked it out. It's got to be checked back in before it can be checked out. It has to be. If that means that you found it in SuperTech, then check it out, but just put some sort of little star notation there that that's where you found it, that somebody else checked it in. Eventually that will hopefully stop happening as everybody takes responsibility for the equipment in this building. Also, with the way that the spacing works on these, like, you're supposed to go sequentially down the columns. For some reason, some people are filling out here, and then they skip 2 and they fill it out in the 4th column. Why? No reason.
Can I interject real quick? On this sheet that you're passing around, you said that the greens are the one that is the way you want it. Is there
Yes.
any particular distinction between red, orange, and blue?
No, I just was using them so that it was easier to see that they
Okay.
were separate columns. Also, the way that these need to be filled out and returned to me is, so you fill this sheet out. Let's say, for some reason, laptop 2 is getting used way more than any other laptop. I don't know why. It just is. But laptop 2, let's say it fills all the way up, and all the other stuff is still on the first page. Well, then you flip it over, and you continue laptop 2, but the rest still needs to be on this page. No, don't just start a new column. And whenever a single item goes all the way across all 8 columns, the sheet is done. We're not gonna, don't hang up 2 sheets. What you need to do whenever all 8 columns are full is grab a new sheet, copy everything that isn't in the 8th column over, and then bring this down to my office. So let's say laptop 1 is finished all the way out, and 2, 3, like none of the others are, so you'll just copy their latest entry. Does that make sense?
If it hasn't been checked in.
Yeah, well, even if it is checked in, because it needs to show that it's checked in. So just copy the latest entry. Does that make sense to everybody? Like the very last entry that's there. I don't want everything copied, just the last entry. You know, take a look at that. I don't.
I did that last night for laptop 2, but I only did the ones that were still checked out.
Okay.
I didn't do the last entry for the ones that were checked in.
I guess if it's checked in, then it's fine, because I mean it should be in SuperTech.
Okay.
Yeah, just I would prefer it if you copied the last entry for each line over, just so that we know when it was last used and where it was used last. Because then if something's wrong with it, I know who to go talk to, because that was the last person that handled it. Cables. There's a XLR right there on the table that Bear and I just pulled off the stage in Rosebud. Does anybody want to take a look and see if they see anything wrong with it? Also, I don't know why you guys daisy-chained XLRs to hook a podium mic up. There's plenty of cable length. But that was daisy-chained between 2 XLRs to go to the podium mic in Rosebud. And if you see a cable with knots in it, own the cable, take the knots out, and then lay it back down, because that's bullshit. That's ugly. In Rosebud, on the stage yesterday. Tech equipment. This goes for anybody that sets up. Sorry, it threw me off. It wasn't what I sent exactly.
Oh,
And so
sorry.
I sent them like that so it'll jog my memory. You know, check tech equipment. What do you no? So when you guys are setting things up, you're setting them up, and that's great, but you're not testing it, and you might as well not set the equipment up if you're not going to test it, because if something's broken, then I have to come in, tear down your tech, and set up new tech. Make sense?
Now this isn't stemming from what happened Sunday, right?
No, it is not.
Okay.
This is a couple of other events that have happened this week. Do you need the talking stick, Michael?
As a note on making sure tech works, the podium in Rosebud with the 2 mics on it,
Yeah.
it has to be plugged into channel 2 in order for it to work, because it requires phantom power, and right now channel 2 is the only one that has phantom power on all the time. We can turn phantom power on other channels, but just if you're going to set up the podium in Rosebud, plug it into channel 2 and it'll work
The
just
black
fine.
podium or the wooden.
The one with
podium.
the 2 mics, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one we had set up yesterday. Weren't getting anything because it was in 1 and 3. I didn't know that 2 was the phantom power, and so
It's
that,
the only mic that we have that requires phantom power. So.
yeah, and that's knowing that now, it's fine. We don't have to go and tear it down and destroy it because Bear's like, this is dead, and I was like, yeah, it seems dead to me. So we just switched the podiums out. So yeah, if you're setting up tech, it better be tested because when I come in the morning, and from the client's point of view, they want to go into the room and their tech be working. They don't want to go in the room and then be like, oh, building supervisor, my crap's not working. They're paying for it, we're providing a service, and it has to look good.
For things like if we set stuff up the night before, set sound systems up, we turn them off, is
Mhm.
that?
As long as you
As far
have
as them walking
tested
in.
it and it
Yeah.
worked the night before, that's fine. Because I know I made a couple of calls this week. I was like, hey, this isn't working. Was it working last night? And the response was, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then what did you do? Did you just put the equipment in the room? Yeah, set up, good to go. Did you the take a step back and look at the room? Is that on a later slide?
Yes.
Okay. Missed clock ins and clock outs. This has become an increasing problem ever since I started. Maybe it was a problem before I started. Probably was.
It's an ongoing problem. Yeah.
So starting Monday, starting Monday, so with next week's schedule, everybody has a clean slate. You get 3 strikes per semester. If the system is not down and you miss a clock in because you just didn't do it or you forgot, the first time, not so bad. We'll let it slide. You get 1 freebie. The second time, you will lose your shift privileges and you will be cleaning gray bins. The third time, you will not get paid for the shift. If it happens a 4th time, you will be fired. And it will reset every semester. This goes for everybody, building crew, building supervisors, because there are some building crew in this building that just don't clock in because they know Rhett will do it for them. That's
And-
not my job.
And I know the card swipe that you guys use over there is hit or miss. I mean, that thing, when my students at the information desk use it, they always give me missed clock in or clock out because it's down, the system's down. I just tell them, you know what, go to the person who's working the information desk, tell them to clock them in, and then that way they're clocked in. They don't have to wait until, because the person there will shut down the computer, they have to start it back up, not turn it off, but switch users. So they've got to restart the thing so that they can log in on the computer. You can go to the information desk and ask them to log you in if that thing's not working. I think a lot of times that's an easy excuse that that's not working. And so we don't, because we've no way of following it up with whether it was working or not. So just go across to the information desk and I'll tell my students that I am giving you all permission to have them clock you in. All they have to do is punch up the Time Pro, you give them your 1000 number, they punch it in and clock you in. And then you clock out on the computer downstairs in the office before you leave. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's there.
For what it's worth, you guys are being entrusted with a little bit of information here that building crew is not. If the system is down, it doesn't count against you. Do not abuse that. Don't tell building crew that if the system is down that it doesn't count against you, because they will abuse it. Not all of them will, but there are some that will, and I'd rather just them be afraid to get fired and actually clock in, or at least make the effort to clock in.
Send them to the computer in the basement or send them to the information desk.
It is a lot of extra work, and I get calls. I actually have gotten like a call every day. You're at Class Octavia? All right, so I've gotten a call every day this week from Sarah Barton over in housing with, hey, I have a time clock issue with this employee. Hey, there's a time clock issue with this employee. Now, granted, 3 of these times it's been an issue with the time clock itself. It's nobody's fault. Like it randomly has clocked Sashi in, and he has been clocked in for 24 hours, 7 days a week for 9 days now, because he hasn't been here in 9 days to clock himself out. So it's just something that I have to fix every morning. But starting Monday, everybody's got a clean slate. You get 1 freebie per semester. That's it.
Any kind of a summer for those who are going to be here.
Well, the summer 1 and summer 2 will count as 1 semester.
Check inventory on Clipboard again, that just goes back. I talked about that a little bit before, but just make sure that you're checking the inventory when you're setting the rooms. So when I took Strengths Quest, some of y'all took Strengths Quest last year. My number one strength, apparently, which makes a lot of sense to me, is responsibility. So I have a high level of responsibility when I'm given a task or when I have a job. I don't like failing in other people's eyes. It's not so much that I don't like failure, I just don't like looking like I'm failing in other people's eyes. And so to me, I have always taken great pride and respect in whatever I'm doing and put it on the level of my work. You guys are students. My work is equal to homework or my senior project or master's project. Those are things you would not turn in half done. You would not say, oh, I just forgot that, or well, there's that. You should not be turning it in half complete to your professors, because what's going to happen? You're not going to make a good grade, or you could fail and you have to start the whole process over again. I need you guys to feel that way about this job and what you're doing. When you are setting a room, that is your senior project for us. Make sure everything in there looks complete. Make sure it looks how you would want it to look when you walked in if you were that client. Ownership and pride. You own this building. You guys get to walk around and unlock doors that other students don't get to go into. You guys get to see things other students don't get to see. You guys get to know about other things that people don't know about on this campus. That should make you feel a little bit of pride and ownership for the building, because we give that to you. We are giving you the ownership to make those decisions and to make this a great building and people want to be in and are happy with. And this is
Okay, so take a step back is for anybody who sets up tech in a room or sets up a room in general. What this means is when you're setting something up in a room, take a step back and look at it as though you are the client walking into this room for the first time. If they have, for example, asked for an empty presenters package, you can safely presume that means they're going to be bringing their own equipment. They will need a place to put their equipment. So even if there's not a card table in the inventory and you see that it's an empty presenters package, that's something, a table is something you can add. Going into the Rosebud remote, the client's it's not their job to go digging around backstage looking for equipment.
Yeah, leave it on the podium. That'd be a perfect spot.
If it's somewhere that the client has to be, like at the podium, that's okay. But hiding it backstage, it's not their job to find it. A client should arrive, call the building supervisor. Building supervisor comes in, opens the door, makes sure that all of the equipment in the room, this is new, so when you open the door, you make sure that all their equipment and lights and stuff are turned on as well. You know, we're not going to leave projectors on overnight. So when you open the room for a client, you go in, you turn a projector on, you make sure the computer's on, you make sure it's logged in. This is part of giving the client access. This is the standard procedure now coming directly from Bear. This isn't for me. I know I'm a tyrannical dictator who makes tons and tons of requests, but this comes from above my head. When you open the door for a client, that's your job is to give them access to everything that they've paid for. So looking at it from a client perspective, you go into the room, the building supervisor opens the door, turns all your stuff on, and then you just want to go, right? I mean, you paid for this stuff to be working, so you don't want to come in and be like, oh, well, I don't have a remote, or I can't find the remote, or my sound system's not working, or just whatever the myriad of problems they come up with that really they shouldn't come up with. It's just a matter of take a step back and look at the room, and you can a lot of times see problems that need to be addressed. Yeah. Like, you know, where tables are set up. This looks great. I like this. Whoever set this up last night, and I'm not going to point fingers or name names, you can come into this room and it looks like that's an area for tech, not a client, so they shouldn't really be over there. The table's right here at the head. Great. First person who comes in can take control of the computer and set it up how they want to set it up. Looks great from a client perspective. Wouldn't you guys agree? Now, if the tech were just thrown here against the wall, like it was a couple of times, and you know the computer were facing the opposite direction, it just doesn't look as good for the people coming in. So take a step back, look at it as though you're the client, and see if there's any obvious flaws that you can fix.
Yeah. And one thing I would add would be, as a supervisor at the end of the night, when you're closing up the building or the rooms, or crew lead, you know, you can tell this to your crew lead, look at each room before you lock it, turn off the lights. Make sure that you're looking on the clipboard and you're checking off every item mentally. You don't I mean, there's nothing to check it off physically. So mentally check off everything. Do I see 5 black arrows? Do I see a presenter's package? Do I see a theater for 60? You know, just make sure that you're checking that off before you close the door. Because again, that's ownership of that setup. You're saying this room is done, the client can come in and roll with it tomorrow. And I worked at Central Market when I graduated from college. I was a food management major. I wanted to go into food service. I worked there on the sandwich saute line, so I made sandwiches, cooked hot food, stuff like that. There was nothing more frustrating than coming in. I switched. Sometimes I opened, sometimes I closed. But there was nothing more frustrating than coming in the morning to set up my sandwich line, to find that the closing person had not cut turkey, had not cut cheese, had not set aside lettuce for me to clean and slice for sandwich stuff. There is literally, and then as the opener, getting stuff ready because you're there through lunch, which takes all the pieces of food away. So then after that rush, you send someone to then restock the line, right? Well, if nobody restocked the line for you the night before, why are you going to restock the line for them for closing shift? You are all here to help each other, and that kind of goes into one thing Bear wanted us to talk about. If closing shift is leaving opening shift high and dry, why is opening shift going to help? I mean, it's 6 a.m., they should not be running around with their heads cut off like a chicken. You know, they should be able to come in, check everything is right, and go with it. They shouldn't have to set up wires for power and internet. They shouldn't have to go grab black arrows. They shouldn't have to grab 6-foot tables.
I shouldn't have to wake up to texts from work.
Right, exactly. So you are supporting each other. You are helping each other. You are the team that is making what our operation is doing successful.
And if it's too much and you can't get to something, that's something you can talk to Rhett and myself about workload, and we'll try to schedule more people for you. But also communicate that for the people that are coming in after you.
Yeah.
Don't
Leave a note for them on the table. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but just leave something that says, hey, I wasn't able to get to this because.
Yeah.
The what? Right, yeah, so we could make a heads up sign on that, like, hey, didn't get this done, just ran out of time or couldn't find it, need help. But that way, there's nothing worse than coming in and literally having to hit 100 miles an hour because things are not done the night before. And it'll start, and the thing is, once you start to get that wheel going, once closing shift is doing it and morning shift is working together, you guys will move faster and it'll be a lot easier. You know, it'll be seamless and you won't even remember, but you can't.
Let's pick up the pace a little bit.
Oh, well, I think this is. And then I think needs.
Summer availability and fall schedules. So for my technicians who are coming back in the fall, this is a request, not a mandate. If you guys can talk amongst each other and kind of work something out with your schedule so that I have more availability between all of you and don't have to run into my current problem of Tuesday, Thursday being an impossible shift. Like, there's no technician available before 1 p.m. on Tuesday or Thursday. Not a single one. So when I have an event where they request a technician at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, I'm asking building crew and building supervisors and Benji to take care of that. So if you can, and I won't be mad if you don't, this is a request. If you guys can talk amongst yourselves and maybe figure out something with your schedules, I would appreciate that immensely.
Okay. Finally, Student Staff Appreciation Week. You've seen the signs for it. You've probably gotten an email. Mark your calendars. May 7th is a staff appreciation dinner in the Paladuro Lounge. Business casual would be nice, just a little bit dressier than normal maybe. It is mandatory. You get paid to eat. So I realize some people have classes. I feel like, though, last Thursday, Friday, there were no classes. I feel like it was dead days. So as far as I understand, this is supposed to be dead days. Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say that I have Tech Week for a show that I'm in, and
Yeah.
we're called at 5:45.
Right, yes.
So
That's fine. Email me.
Yeah,
if
you
you're-
have to give us
email
a
me if
good
you're
reason.
unavailable. No. I want email from you guys to confirm that you won't be there. If it's
Yeah.
class, I don't need your professors.
But that's the thing,
doctor
if
note,
it's dead
whatever.
days, I mean, maybe you guys are taking finals that day. I know you have a lab that night, but if you're not supposed to have classes,
I have to go to the lab.
okay.
That's fine. Just email me.
Yeah.
And so I have it in written record on who's not going to be there for the mandatory
But
shift.
I mean, it's good food. We're going to give out awards this year. We talked about them back in September. We have those 4 awards, so we've got winners for that, as well as just recognizing, having some fun. May 8th, which is the Friday, next Friday, we're giving out goodie bags for finals week studying. So stop by your supervisor's office to grab that. And then Monday and Tuesday of finals week, you can stop by our office and grab a coupon for late night breakfast so that you don't have to pay for that. You get, I don't know if you get one each day or if you just get one for both days, but I mean, one to use one or the other day. But stop by our office and get a coupon for that. So, and again, this is just to thank you all for what you do and all your good work. So,
Next week, we'll meet up. Hopefully we won't have as many issues. This is the first OTAPS we've had in a long time that's actually gone the full duration. Surprisingly, we're not angry. We're just nitpicking. So
right,
you
and
guys
that's
have done great.
where
We're
you
very
want to
happy.
be. So,
That's why we have the meeting, so we can nitpick. Does anybody have any questions about the checkout sheet? Specifically the general sheet?
It's like the one day I had to work tech. There was some equipments I just didn't know the names. I put in a report that I just put them off to a special size because I know the exact location.
If you can give me a general description of the piece of equipment, that's fine. I would prefer if you take a screen, if you tell me the size of the screen, or if you take a mic, you tell me what kind of mic. Because I do have an inventory list of what we have available in the building, and it's easier for me to know what's out if I know what's in there. Anybody else? I understand that when there's a really big list of equipment and you go into the room to check it in, you really just want to write, I checked everything in. Please don't. If something ends up missing or we find it in that room and you write everything is checked in, then I don't have anybody to go off of. But if you physically write each piece of equipment that you check in, you're much less likely to miss something. I know that 2 weeks ago at OTAPS, there was an issue where some technicians were putting in that they had set up a room that they hadn't even set up. That's the same deal. If you just write everything's checked in, it's really easy to miss stuff. And if anybody needs like a tip for checking equipment in, take the checkout sheet with you as you're checking equipment in. That way you can physically check it off as you go along. You don't have to remember what you took out and took in.
and if you guys ever need anything or questions about setup or whatever, and I'm in the office, feel free to come down and talk to me. I mean,
We would much rather answer questions than field grievances.
yes, yes.
One more thing about needles and safety pins. In Blue Bonnet North, we had a whole bunch of needles and safety pins on the carpet.
Safety pins
Yes.
Yeah.
from what?
From the previous event. I
Client
had to
left
hand
safety
pick all the
pins and
safety
stuff.
pins from the carpet.
Yeah.
Oh, there were safety pins on, like they'd spilled on the carpet.
Yes. All over the north.
Did you put it in the building report?
I mean, yeah, you put that in the building report.
Then we'll charge them for cleanup. Don't get hurt.
Yeah, needles.
Were they open or
They're all over the carpet. I just picked one up actually.
what was that from last night? From the official ring cer-
Weekends.
Yeah, it was from Saturday or something. What room was it in?
Blue Bonnet North.
Oh, that was Dance Moms.
Oh.
The needles are really dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree.
that would have been Dance Moms.
would totally believe that they were all just open and
sticking
up.
Yeah,
And-
after
and
seeing how they treated the building.
We
yeah.
we have marked that they cannot return to the building.
Yeah, they're blacklisted.
So, yeah, we do have other dance groups that come in, but they're usually
Stephanie, you can go ahead and turn your mic on.
they're usually